This time I'm not going to use these graphic tablets and whiteboards and many kinds of tools like which I used to have. Actually, a career in business management is among the much sought after and rewarding careers, of course, as you all know that a large number of young aspirants appear in the entrance tests conducted by IIM, IT, which is technology based, and IIM is management based, management institutes and universities every year. However, a handful of them are only able to make it to the prestigious management schools. I don't know why, what's gone wrong, and what we need to improve, and what to do, and why lots of them did not make it through. So we have to research about that. And the competition staff and preparation of the entrance examination has to be methodical and exhaustive at the same time. Okay. Uh, Actually, many books like Business GK, DGP, and all they already introduce like meticulously prepare and endeavor has been made to provide basic information, useful tools, and lots of materials which can like the best options you could ever find for MBA, BBA, financial management, for chartered accountant, for company secretary and cost and works accountants, chartered financial analyst, cost management, and certified public accountant. There are lots of courses and they are really very tough. And it's really tough to go through and to get through that. We all know that. So at this point of time, we're going to watch and learn about that business knowledge, which you might know that you have gone through, you might gone through that, but many of us and a lot of us never knew about this and never heard about this that. So let's move on. So I told you that I'm not going to use that graphic tablet and I'm not going to use that pen to this pen and whiteboard, green board, red board, and things like that. I'm going to use only laser one. So I'm going to use only laser pointer at this point of time, okay? So I hope that you won't mind about this. So the first topic which we gonna learn about is that economics glossary. Economic glossary. So the first one which correspond back was FX correspondent bands, creeping inflation, Dabshani, infant industry, Monopsony, and soft land or Turkey. So before learning and watching about this, what they really mean and what actually they are, We have to go through from the crash course, from the very beginning, to understand those things. Okay, so autarky refers to a situation where a country tries to isolate herself from international trade, maybe by a restriction like tariff, in an attempt to be self-sufficient, usually for reasons of unemployment or maybe political involvement, as you heard more about this thing. Okay, so let's take a look about this backward effects. Backward effects. So before going through that backward effects, let me try to explain a little bit about, so that you may get some knowledge about that backward linkage. That this backward linkage refers to the relationship between an industry or a farm and the suppliers of each input. Okay, maybe inputs like tools, equipments, and maybe sources of like inflows of cash, loss that change in the output of the industry has a backward effect on the supplier of its input. So, in simply terms, inputs means inflows and output means outflows. So, we may also say that outflows or productivity. So, because of a change in the demand for those inputs, okay? So, backward affects this one, okay? Backward effects are, and these are considered to operate where the economic growth in one region of an economy possesses adverse effects on the growth of another region. I hope you got it, but the, the economic growth in one region has adverse effects on the other regions. Anything happen in one region has negative or opposite effects on the other region, and these effects are principally due to the flow of factory of production from slow to fast growing regions, right? So anything happen or going to happen or it already happened to the one region or to the one place has immediate significant effects on the other regions. Okay, I hope that you got it. Anything happen on one region has any positive or negative impacts on the other regions. In the simplest way and the shortest terms that I could explain about that, okay? Then correspondent banks. Correspondent banks. Correspondent bank simply implies that a bank which is agent for another bank A bank which acts as an agent for another bank in a place where the other has no office or for some reason is unable to conduct certain operations for itself. Okay, maybe this what we exactly mentioned. This particular aspect has no office or any operations to conduct certain operations for itself. So there's no fees and there's lots of reasons which has adverse impact on that and unable to conduct certain operation for itself that. So this bank is an agent for another bank in a place, okay? Then the next one is this creeping inflation. Inflation and deflation, we know that since we all have commerce background and in 11 class 12 standard also we have already learned about that what is inflation and deflation, stagflation. So I don't think we need to repeat again this inflation, deflation and all. So creeping inflation is that it's slow but continuous rise in price. It's slow, but it is continuously rising its price. Okay, it's really simple. It's really very simple. The growth may be slow, but it is constant and it's continuously increasing, rising its prices. Whatever may be the prices. It doesn't mention here, so I don't think that we need to know about this what prices and what is the significance of that. What is the factors mentioned for it? We don't need to know about that. So, but it's slow, but it is continuously rising the prices and constant that. Okay, Dabsani. Dabsani. Dabsani is a particular market where there are only two buyers of the product or maybe a service being traded in that area, traded in that market. So there are only two buyers in the market. That's called option. Only two buyers in the market who is going to perform or who already perform the buying, selling, or any kinds of market transactions like buying, selling. So there are only two buyers to engage in the production or service being traded in the market. Okay, it's really simple. That's all. We have to go through this industry monopsony and soft learn about this. Okay. Angel curve excites the external deficit, flat money, fiat money, fiduciary issue, and floating debt. So we need to add a big, it's slightly some knowledge to get into the in-depth knowledge about this that. So without freeing out, without explaining that frictional unemployment, so we cannot go into the deep meaning of that frictional employment or underemployment or unemployment like that. soft loan. Before going to this soft loan, what is hard currency? Hard currency is a currency which has a continuing high level of demand relative to supply in the market for foreign exchange. Okay, which is high level of demand, hard currency that. So let's move to the infant industry. An industry in its early stages of development, maybe in the beginning period or its like build up period, maybe starting period, startup period, stages in the early stages of the development, whose share of its domestic market is currently small due to competition from overseas competitors, not from within the same industry or not from within the same locality, like from the Indian competitors, not from that, but from the overseas competitors. That in the early stages of development, the share of its domestic market is currently small due to the competition from overseas competitors, since their currencies really affect the fantastic comparing to the Indian rupees. Purchasing power is very high and very constant, like comparing Indian rupee and US dollar. US dollar is very uh, constant one, consistency. It never went down or go uh, so much rising after that. So in fact, that's just to understand, to go deep into the early stages of the development, and the share of its the domestic market is small, from big to the small, it change and it's converted into small due to the competition which arises from the overseas competitors, not from within India itself. Okay, so we can move to the next one. We have to explain this of long and Manapsani, Soflon and Manapsani. Okay. So before going to the Soflon, I guess and I hope that we all understand about what is money market, what is debt market, what is hybrid market. In mutual fund, we have debt mutual fund, equity mutual fund, hybrid, and others like large cap, small cap, medium cap, Sensex. There are lots of balance advantage fund, focus fund. There are lots like that. So its money market is that the financial institution that deal in short-term securities like loans, gold, and foreign exchange. Okay. It deals in short-term securities like gold. Gold is also a very constant one, and it's the oldest forms of exchange system like dollar, US dollar, So let's go to this Manapsani. In case of Manapsani, that's a market situation in which there is only a single buyer in the market, exactly opposite to the Dapsani. Here there are two buyers in the market who engage in the trading in the market, maybe buying and selling. So in case of one option, there are only a single buyer. Okay, there are only a single buyer in the market, just opposite to the option. I hope that everything is clear about you now. Backwards facts, correspondent banks, crippling inflation, Dapshani, and infant industry. This is early stage of development and which competition arise from the overseas competitors and monopsony where there are only single buyer in the market and dapsony where there are two buyers engaged in the selling and buying or maybe engaged in the trading market. Okay, soft loan. Soft loan is a loan bearing either no rate of interest or an interest rate which is below the true cost of the capital land. I hope it's very clear that a loan bearing maybe no rate of interest or there may be an interest rate, but that is below the true cost of the capital which we lend for, which you lend for, which you borrowed for that. You expect that the capital repaid with an interest, but there's no an interest rate. At the same time, below and the expected level of the capital return, less return. Okay, so everything is clear and no doubt. So we can move on. This is commerce glossary. Commerce glossary. I hope and I guess I expect that we all are from the commerce background like BCom, BBA, business administration, or maybe in technology, BCA, computer application background. So we had some kinds of experience like what is debit, what is credit, what is current assets, current liabilities, balance sheet, profit and loss account, income and expenditure account. So for those who are from non-commerce background also, they have lots of advantage regarding those terms which especially for those who had gone through that commerce background in graduation level or post-graduation level also, they had to gain some knowledge. Blue chip, blue chip is very popular name and we all heard and the industry also once it already climb, not up, climb down. Climb can be in two types. It can climb up and it can climb down. Okay. A term referring to first-class equities. Equity simply implies that capital, which is a very low risk of depreciation of earnings. That's called blue chip. That they are very low risk in case of that earnings. So depreciation simply implies that uh, decreasing or maybe losing rate of decreasing, rate of interest decreasing or loss. So they are very low risk and it's called first class equities capital. In the next chapter, we will learn about the mutual fund equity, debt, hybrid, high yield, debt, money market, mutual fund, balance advantage fund, focus fund. So you will be very clear about this blue chip cryptocurrency like bitcoins, etc. Break-even point, which is not in our topic, but break-even point is that total cost equal to total revenue, total profit, just for gaining knowledge. Okay. So next one is this is called capital gearing ratio. Capital gearing ratio simply implies the ratio between owners' funds and debt. That means out of cash expenditure rises and things you borrowed from maybe personal, individual firms, agencies, or maybe banks. It's all about debt. So the ratio between owners' funds and debt. So you can calculate from this debt how much you have capital to run the industry or the company or the farm which you are still engaging on, which you are still running on. So you can count on that and you can compute on that. If you are very clear about this cap gearing ratio. So let's move to the next one, debt equity ratio. The ratio of debt to equity. It is simply a measure of long-term financial position of firm. Debt equity ratio is really very important. It signifies and really denotes and implies that the long-term financial position of firm, how to proceed on the farm and how to gear up the farm. Shall we decrease the expenditure or increase the productivity? And from which sources, from which inflows? Like, okay, so it's about the ratio of debt to equity. Okay, debt simply implies these money market funds and which bearing very low interest, very low risk, very low returns, but the returns is really 100% trustable, reliable on that. In equity funds or equity investment, equity mutual fund or equity investment, there are lots of risks and there are higher risks that you can lose that your capital with interest at. But in case of debt or money market, so you can buy bonds, NSC, and lots of things. There's lots of uh, government provided schemes like PPF, NSC, SCTV, sovereign gold bond scheme, and all that. So the returns are assured, promisable. So low risk, low returns. Okay. What is the next one? The next one is data analysis. Data analysis. It's a system of analysis that's showing the relationship between return on investment, ROI, return on investment, which is very beneficial and which is very unique and very essential topic for investor or investors like CNG compound, annual growth rate. Before before you start investing in types of schemes like banking products like fixed deposit, recurring deposit, multi-option deposit, maybe PPF, EPF, NSC, National Savings Certificates. You buy certificate, you can buy 12 times in a year. So before doing any kinds of investment, including personal finance, like that, like doing retirement planning and all, you have to do a lot of research by yourself. Don't depend on the uh, guides or mentoring and all. You have to do research by yourself, which is consistent one. And the flow of cash, the return on investment, the expense ratio, and CAGR. Everything is suitable or not, consistent or not. So you have to do that. You have to know before engaging and before running into the investment. Okay. It's about showing the relationship between the return on investment and asset turnover and the profit margin. The net profit margin is multiplied by asset turnover to arrive at the return on investment. So it's very simple one, this one. We arrive at the net profit margin. How? We multiply by that asset turnover. So we arrive at the return on investment. It's very simple. EBIT, economic order quantity or economic planning. This one. Okay. Economic order quantity or economic planning. It's all about this earning. Whatever you earn before cutting interest and tax, before calculating interest from your earning and before cutting your tax. Okay. It's all about the optimum quantity of inventory to order or to produce based on trade-off between carrying on ordering costs about that, okay? So the EPS, then equity and equity share and full EBIT and Dutch and floor and jumbo and salvage value and slam, which we have to go through that floor. This floor is no need to explain that, but I just included this floor. I just make sure that you gotta know that being an investor or being trader on stock market or on maybe mutual fund investment or gold and silver investment, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, anything like that. So this is just a whole, investing whole on the stock exchange. Okay, so no need more details about that. No need explaining. Grapevine, holding company, Impress, and insolvency. Insolvency is simply just liquidation company. Okay, liquidation can be also be defined in two terms, like it is usually converted into cash. Liquidity position, it is easily converted into cash. Okay, junk bonds. We know that bonds, which corporate bond is the best for investing 2022? HDFC corporate bond. That's direct plan road. It's an open-ended scheme. That means you can enter, you can start investing in anytime, and you can cancel or you can stop or delete forever and jump out, exit from the investing anytime. Okay, it's bonds issued by companies with low credit ratings. Credit rating is really very important. If your credit rating is very high, then you can take loan easily. See, applying loan for maybe personal loan, vehicle loan, educational loan, and loan for anything is really very hard to apply at this point of time, since maybe you are not a salaried person, you don't have any income, monthly payment, so maybe you are a freelancer, you are working in private sector, so it's really hard to apply that. But in case you don't want such, it is issued by the companies with low credit ratings, and they typically pay relatively high interest rates because of the fear of the default. Default means fail to pay back as assured or as promised. Suppose you promise you took a loan from Mr. X and you promise or you assured to him that you must pay back within 2 months, but after 2 months, also you didn't pay back. You do not pay back that, so it's just a defaulter. So with fearing that uh, failed repayment of the default, fear of default, they impose that higher interest rates on that. Okay. What is the next topic? We've gone through this floor, each a hole on the stock exchange and junk bonds. Right now we finished that and salvage value and slum also. That before discussing the salvage value, let's just take a look about this. What is nominal accounts? Nominal accounts simply implies that accounts of various expenses and incomes. It simply implies that accounts of various expenses, multiple expenses, and multiple incomes. But so the source doesn't mention here, so you don't need to rely on that. You don't need to mention that as perpetual succession note also. Provisions for doubtful debts, proxy server is really popular, especially when you type on the search engine like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Brave browser, and all. So we have to go through the Windows. You have to run Windows and Dynastics or just take a look at proxy server settings and all. So you have to set and that detect manually or detect settings so automatically that okay. Salvage value. It is the expected value of a depreciable asset at the end of each useful life. Suppose you buy a machine. You buy a machine for your farm. Okay, like tractor, you bought it. So everything has its value of time here. Time value of money is really important that okay its useful period that after that its useful period is expired its purpose or its beneficial products is useless okay as which value imposed that the expected value of a depreciable asset at the end of its useful life. At the end of its useful life, that you bought a machine that you use for many years. It's really useful. You earn a lot from that machine. But since the year gone by and since you've been using for many years. So it's depreciate, depreciated its useful life. So margining and like calculating how useful it is and it was comparing with at the beginning of period and at the end of its useful life. So if you plan to sell or if you plan to rebuy a new one or maybe the same old one, you can exactly in your brain that which one to buy for that. When you use anything, any machine or any type of asset which has its useful life, like let's say for an example that its useful life is 5 years. After 5 years, its value is depreciated. Okay, so I hope that everything is clear. So the last one is slum one. Slum is simply it's a recession in the trade cycle. It's downturn phase. It's a bad period. It's a negative period. Okay, recession cycle happen and a severe downturn phase happen in trade cycle, in trading period, maybe in a stock exchange also. Your share has gone down. Its value, its share price. That's it. It's really simple. That's okay. So let's move on. Legal terms. Since you are from commerce background or you are from that's management background, financial management, maybe real estate manager or broker or brokerage. So you need to gain and you have to learn about legal terms, especially for starting a company registration like sole proprietorship, partnership, and limited liability, and OPC or personal company and private limited company and public sector undertaking, anything, any type of that company registration and through the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. So you have to know that legal terms, especially when it comes to the income tax exemption, TDS file, everything about that. So you have to know and you have to learn and you have to acquire and access about the legal terms. Okay. Since we have already discussed multiple times about this, what's bond and which bond is the best to invest in this year. HDFC corporate bond, ICICI Prudential corporate bond. There are lots of bonds and all. It's like uh, securities and the returns is assured and promised and the risk is very low, as I already mentioned about it. And it's a legal agreement to pay certain sum of money like what you call the principal at some future debt and it's carrying at a fixed rate of interest. It is a means of financing long-term investment. Okay, bonds are issued by corporations, center, state, and local governments. Okay, it carries that rate of interest and capital too. So it is an assured term of investment, assured type of investment like the fixed deposit, time deposit, or recurring deposit, or term deposit, and buying securities and buying certificate of savings in post office or in any kinds of financial institution like that. Okay, it's all what that's bonds. Okay, so the next one is embargo. Embargo is that it's more stringent form of trade restriction or quotas under which uh, like specific products are barred from entering the country. It is a restriction and it's very restrictable form of trading. In short form, we may call that it's a trade restriction, but from which some local companies or for some people or some corporations or farms agencies, they can some quotas under which many overseas competitors or overseas buyers or overseas investors or businessmen are barred from entering into that particular country to start an investment or to start trading, to start a business. Okay, carting. It's an authorized borrowing, unauthorized borrowing or theft of money to the continuous action of drawing and cashing check on bank, and following that solely by covering the deposit in the form of the uncovered recorded check drawn on third bank. Okay, the process is continued undetected in several banks like private bank, non-banking financial institution, and like non-banking financial companies like that. In several banks, it's undetected. It's like hacking, and it's unauthorized borrowing or like a theft. It's a theft of money to each continuous action, and the instrument is mostly used is check through the bank. That at the same time it covered that kind of authorized borrowing or theft of money, and at the same time it's deposited in the form of debt unrecorded, which I already mentioned, that check on the third bank, that may be third party, which does not, which do not and do not involve on the particular aspect which we mentioned that. Okay. So next one is lockout. Lockout is closing down of a factory by the employers to keep the workers out It's like ending the business, stopping the business, maybe joint venture business, partnership business, sole proprietorship business, or registered company, or in types of multinational corporations. So it's a shutting down of the business by letting out and by knocking out the workers or the employees by employer. Okay, so I hope that everything is clear and neat and fine about the team bonds and lookout, which I right now we can explain about that each closing down of factory by the employers to knock out and to exit that the workers in the particular aspect of that company or that business or that factory. Okay, negotiable instruments. Negotiable instruments are commercial papers that can be freely transferred. You can be freely transferred through the bank and each commercial papers, which does not include in that our topic in our subject, which we are currently discussing about that accounting file, abacus, and annual cards, which we need to know about being a commerce student or being a business student or being a management student or like being an entrepreneur. You have to know about that, okay? Bad sector, bad sector, bad sector. Also, you have to learn about this. We have to know about this. But what is bad sector? It's like defective person on ethics, which does not render correct reading or writing. Okay, it's the defective person on an ethics maybe or ethics is like software it's not about the software of floppy disk which we had been used for a long time ago about that, but it's a defective person and which does not render correct or reading or writing about this. Okay, it's about it is a unit to measure how many bits a modern, not a modern modem can send or receive per second. Okay, I'm still explaining which is excluding in our recently topic, recently saying learning about this. But it's really important to know that it should be getting knowledge about these terms. Okay, F keys. Also, we have to know about what is F keys. F keys known as the function keys of keyboards and carry that rotations of F1, F2, F3. Extra, it's about the function of keyboards as the name suggests that F keys. Okay. So you have to understand about this why out of the subject which is not included in our topic in our subject, why I'm discussing. It's really important for you to gain knowledge about these legal terms and to enhance your knowledge about these legal terms. Yeah, in respect of in lieu of that, business guidelines and management, being a management students, or maybe in your future where you're gonna work or where you would work that and that company or at that multinational corporation, or maybe you're gonna start consultancy firm or so proper business or private limited company undertakings or public. So at the time of initial public offering, you, you must need that. You must need to know this about this, okay? Lin and in LINC is a fourth generation programming language for mainframes. LINC, try to remember that it's a fourth generation programming language for mainframes. Okay, so tackles some it tackles DSCOS. It is data conversion software. It is a data conversion software, which is very useful for like file conversion also. You can convert from PDF to PPT and PDF to JPG and like that, okay? JPEG, PDF format too. So it's a data conversion software used to convert data in one language format to another language format. So you can convert English language. Suppose you want to know the meaning of that English language in Hindi, so you can type it and you can transform and you can try to convert that language, that typical language or that particular language to your own native language. So you can do that easily with this conversion circle. And wait state. Wait state is a condition in which the central processing unit is idle. Idle means that it is not executing instruction that so you have to wait or close or shut down or restart it at the same point of time that you have to wait or close or shut down or restart. So it is a condition where the central processing unit that's called the brain of the computer CPU. So before instead of an idle setting, so since it does not execute any instructions, so you can wait that it's wait state. So if you close it, then you could be lost. You could lose all the files, all the settings, or anything which you don't save. You can lose it. So it's waitable state again. In basic though, you've learned that both F keys, link, tacos, and wait state right now. I'm telling you that so accounting file two each accounting file. Before learning this accounting file, this we have to know about tokenization and force majeure, MCS and management company, and by deep and also. So accounting file is like it's storage information, accounting file, accounting data. We need data to do a project or to start out that. So how to collect data and where from we can get reliable and informative data from that. So you have to make a close relationship with outsiders or with the folks and to maintain and to collect that simple and input data processing and all. Okay. Since I've already discussed about this bad sector, but F keys is a function keys like that F123, like line C, that's tacos and wait state. That's wait state is like waiting the program or closing down or shut down since it does not execute any instruction. So it's better to wait or restart or waiting out. Okay. Proxy for bank financial products. Here, let me explain like bank financial products. So in any public sector banks or private sector banks or like NBL non-banking financial competition or any financial institution, you can open savings banks and which carries an interest rate from 2 to 3.5 like that, and they provide that deposits also RD and like FD fixed deposit and time term deposit and monthly income scheme deposit and recurring one. So in recurring state, suppose you deposit at the month of January 2000. So in the next installment, if you pay monthly, then you have to pay the same amount, or you can invest in like monthly, quarterly, and semi-annually and annually also. But the duration is like you can choose from like zero from day one to 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and the minimum deposit rate is like PPF and NSC and NPS and all. That's about 500. So in case of an NSC, you can deposit that makes sense. You can buy certificate of savings like 12 times and all. So through the bank, and this maybe in case of public sector public sector undertakings and private sector undertakings, you can buy mutual funds and you can invest in mutual funds and you can open trading and demat account through that. Okay, this is CAP, capital expenditure, and proxy form, right? In case of that proxy form, when a shareholder wishes to appoint someone else to vote on his behalf, he can do so by filling out that proxy form like that. So when you bought a share, suppose in this year's data consultancy services, so um, in annually, you have to participate through physical or remote online mode like e-voting and e-sharing. Like you can raise your voice to any topics like the general meetings, and you can do you can cast vote through e-voting procedure. So on your behalf, you can choose and appoint others. So that is a proxy form. And gold and silver prices. Investment of gold is prudent. it's really prudent. You have to be very careful before investing in a gold. So the most secure form is that sovereign gold bond scheme, since the interest rate is very low. You might not interested, but it's really very secure. Okay, so, and you can invest in gold and silver, and gold prices are written as 10 grams of gold, and silver prices are written as 1 kg of silver. So in case of gold, it's written as 10 grams of gold, and in case of silver prices, it's written as 1 kg of silver. Okay. In credit line is a flexible type of loan. It is a flexible type of loan that company and individual can avail from banks. Here it does not mention that each whether each private sector bank or public sector undertakings. I hope that each both case, I think that so it's really flexible. Maybe the duration and the terms and procedure and like how to apply by step procedure and like dogs and KYC, know your customer base, KYC and all. So it takes long time to process and finish the procedure that so it's really flexible one, and it's really easy for individuals and corporates like banks, but not from that central bank, that means RBI. Okay. SEC. SEC. What is SEC? SEC is the US market regulator like SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India in India, or RBI, Reserve Bank of India, Central Bank of India, all of which lend to the commercial bank, private sector bank, or public sector bank, and the sets of its own price like repo rate, reverse rate. It controls inflation, deflation with the help of that central bank, Reserve Bank of India, like that. So SEC is the US market regulator and Securities and Exchange Commission. That okay. CapEx, capital expenditure. CapEx is capital expenditure. You know that CapEx is capital expenditure, and the expenses undertaken by a company to acquire or pay for the maintenance of long-term assets. Okay, capex is usually meant for that. Usually implies for that long-term investment for maintenance of long-term assets, or like it is the expenses incurred, the expenses undertaken maybe by individual or corporate or firm or agency or company or to acquire or pay for the maintenance of long-term assets. Okay, assets like land, building, machinery, and many assets which can be converted into liabilities. Assets and liabilities can be used in both term ways and can be classified as same ways and similar ways. Okay? And Federation, FED, is The same one is Central Bank of U.S. Federal Reserve, and they decided that interest rates in United States. Okay, UN this one is UN ultra high, ultra alternate or high individuals like this. Those who earn that more than $9 million, they are classified as ultra high net worth ultra high net worth individuals, and their net worth is more than $9 million. So let's move here. Bona vacancia. In case of bona vacancia, uh, any goods that does not belong to nobody. It is the state that where goods does not belong to anybody. Okay, nobody can claim through the bona vacancia that since any assets that does not belong to anyone. Okay, so I hope that everything is clear and there's no doubt about that. And so here gold as well. In case of gold prices that we use the term that 10 grams of gold and silver that's 1 kg, and proxy form that in case of e-meeting, e-voting, the shareholders can vote through online mode and attend that physical mode, that through e-mode they can appoint a person on behalf of them. So that's proxy form and all that shopping financial products like savings and deposits and PPF, NSC, and certificate of bonds, corporate bonds, and money markets and debt and all. This is capex is capital expenditure, which is usually meant for the long-term investment assets, which acquire and pay for that. These ultra high net worth individuals and their net worth assets, their net worth price ordinary assets, which crossed at $9 million US dollar. So I hope that everything is clear and there's no doubt about that. So we can move that. So thank you so much guys for listening and watching my YouTube channel thiekfinwealth, and I hope that everything is clear and everything is neat and clean, that you got some idea, you gain some knowledge about which you've never come across and which you've never know about that. So being business or being an entrepreneur or being a management student, you have to acquire and you have to access about this legal procedure and like commerce glossary and business glossary, business knowledge, and also you have to gain through that. Okay, please do subscribe this channel if you like it, and do share it to anyone, and you can contact me through my phone number 8794190093, and through my mail ID James thiekes@gmail.com. So you can call me or you can contact me or you can send me to my WhatsApp number regarding financial planning, mentoring, consulting like financial investment in mutual bond, in mutual funds, stock markets, large, middle, and indices index and index, high yield debt and yield edge securities and alls and S&P since benchmark 500 and buying and selling shares in uh, stock market exchange and anything you need to know and you want to know about this, you can mention in the feedback form or comment section. Okay, thank you so much, and I hope that you're doing very well at this point of time. So thank you guys, and please do watch and subscribe and share it. So enjoy your time and have a good time. Thank you.